Howdy, y'all, and welcome to this week's Business Booster. We want to thank you all for joining us. We are super excited that we have Paul with us today. Paul is going to be teaching us some ways of Facebook. This has been dubbed the course that should have been at PartnerCon. Paul will talk more about that in a moment. He is a true Infusionsoft ninja, and he has some great skills on Facebook, and he's going to share that with us today. Before he shares that with us, we're going to go ahead and I want to just put a note out there for Partner Edition. For all those that have not used Partner Edition, you'll see the link down below to get signed up with Partner Edition. Partner Edition is really a great resource for all partners who would like to take their business to the next level, to get analytics on campaigns you've published, to publish campaigns, to get some insights into your customers that you can use to better and further your business. So without further ado, next week, just as a heads up, next week Matt Vosberg has some amazing things planned for partners. It sounds like there will not be a business booster, but he has some amazing things signed up for you. So keep an eye out for all of that, and we hope to see what Matt Vosberg has in store for us. So we're going to go ahead and bring on Paul Sokol here real quick, and just to kind of intro what he's talking about. You know, Facebook is arguably one of the most effective online tools available to grow your business and influence behaviors by specifically directly to targeted market audiences. However, just posting content and running ads isn't necessarily going to get you the kind of results you need in order to get a positive return on your time and money. In this webinar, Paul Sokol will bring you the exceptional power and profitability of multi-wave Facebook traffic strategies. So without further ado, Paul Sokol will go ahead and have you take over, and if you have any questions, let me know.
Thanks for that wonderful intro, Che. I really appreciate it, and as soon as you make me the presenter, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Hello to everybody. Today I see some familiar faces and names in the attendee list and some new ones, so wonderful. All right, I'm the presenter. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and then we will get going with it. All right, can everybody can see? We're good? I believe so. Okay. Thank you, Lisa, and everybody else that's saying yes. Okay, so multi-wave Facebook traffic strategies. And for those that don't know me, I'm Paul Sokol. Been using Infusionsoft, Infusionsoft by Keap for over 10 years now, and I've been doing a lot of Facebook stuff with ads the past maybe close to 5 years. So when we think of traffic in terms of waves, it really works like the waves of the ocean, where it's not just one attempt at it. And as you'll see, there's going to be multiple ways that we're running ads at people, and for different reasons here. So feel free to keep this image in your mind as we're going through this, because this can be a little bit heady. And by the way, Che or Matt or anybody else, feel free to break in if there's any like sticking points or you think that there's something like people really aren't getting, because I want to make sure everybody is understanding this and what we're doing here. So today's agenda, because I want to let you know what we're going to go ahead and cover. We're going to start off with a quick primer on traffic in general, and then we're going to do a review of what strategy is, and then that way we have the base context of what traffic and strategy is, and then we can actually start looking at a simple one-wave example of traffic just to bring it all together, and then we're going to look at multi-wave examples, and this is where it's going to get fun. So we're going to look at an example of lead generation remarketing as a two-wave, a three-wave live event promotion, and then we're going to get into a four-wave, and I say traditional remarketing funnel for e-commerce, and I'll explain more what that means as we progress here. So what is traffic in general? I'm not sure if you've ever actually thought about it, but there is, and I'm getting some feedback or getting some background noise. Hey, hold on a sec. Hey, Stephen, any chance we can move to the front part of the room? Yeah, there's just a lot of background noise. Sorry. Thank you for the feedback, everybody. So traffic is taking people from one asset to another with a desired end result in mind. That's really all the traffic is. And there's lots of ways to traffic, and there's many different types of traffic that exist. This isn't just an online specific thing. Of course, you have email traffic, social ads, PPC, your blog and web pages can be used for traffic. And then of course offline traffic has been around forever. Cold calling, door hangers, direct mail, all this kind of stuff here. So lots of different traffic available. Today's focus specifically is on Facebook ads as an ad traffic source, and there's a couple of reasons for this. First is that there's a really low barrier to entry. It takes as little as $1 a day to advertise on Facebook, and that's all that you need. So it takes almost nothing to get started and start testing with it. And if you haven't even begun testing ads, even for your own brands and your own agencies and whatnot, definitely start playing around with it. The second benefit of using Facebook is we have really precise targeting ability, and you'll see this as we get into the targeting sections of these different traffic campaigns. Just for context, I've got about 62 slides here, so I'm going to just try and keep a brisk pace. Feel free to ask questions and whatnot. Hopefully we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. Another huge benefit is there's a massive audience of users. I was looking at some statistics from Q4 of last year, and they have 1.52 billion daily users. This means that there's basically, more than a seventh of the population that uses Facebook every single day. And the population of the world, because there's like 7-8 billion, something like that. The next benefit is that it does work with any size budget. So as I was saying, in the low barrier to entry, whether you've got $10 to spend or $10,000 to spend or $10 million to spend, you can get benefits out of using Facebook. And most importantly, and the reason why we're choosing it for today's presentation is because multiple objectives are available. And this will become clear as we get into the multi-wave thing. Traditionally, traffic is just, the objective is drive traffic. Or some social platforms you can get more followers or more engagement. So Facebook has a bunch of different ad objectives, probably close to 20 at this point, and so you can mix and match and piece together what you're looking to accomplish for your business. Now, I know we have some naysayers out there who says my targets aren't hanging out on Facebook. Well, guess what? They are. You just got to find them. So get familiar with audience insights, learn how to do research and actually dig into it, and yes, your people are on Facebook, you just got to find them. We're targeting COOs for a $20,000 program, and we are able to find those people on Facebook. That doesn't necessarily mean we're targeting people with a title of COO. We had to dig into the customer avatar a little bit and find out who are their influencers, who are they following. Because people aren't necessarily going to say their job title is COO on Facebook. They're still going to behave like a COO though. So yes, they do hang out on Facebook. You just got to go ahead and find them. So as I mentioned earlier, most traffic is very basic. It's one wave only. We're sending an email to a sales page, or we put door hangers, which are trying to drive phone calls for some service, or we're driving a Facebook ad to a landing page. It's really just one wave of traffic. And so that's a general primer on what is traffic. It's just taking, from one asset to another intentionally. So now that we've got the traffic, now that we have a common ground for traffic, now we're going to go ahead and look at strategy. There's so many different definitions of it out here. You may recognize this guy if you're a partner at Con. He's Dennis Yu. He's one of my close personal friends, and he's taught me much of what I know when it comes to Facebook advertising. And for years, he's been saying to focus on the strategy of your goals, content, and targeting. And those have always produced. And it doesn't matter what platform you're using, even if you're doing it offline. I always like to use the example of trying to get a date. If you don't have goals, content, and targeting for it, you don't actually have a strategy to get a date. So the goal is I want to get a date. The content is the clothes I'm wearing, the stories I have, how I smell, how my hair is done. And the targeting would be, the types of people I'm looking for, and maybe like the bars that they would hang out at, or bowling alleys, or yoga studios, wherever they're at. Now, I've got a strategy for actually getting a date. So that works the same in B2B here. So the bottom line is that regardless of whatever platform you're doing, strategy is goals, content, and targeting. If you're missing any of those components, you do not have a strategy and you actually can't do anything with it. So that's really all that strategy is. So I wanted to give a quick primer on that. So now we're really clear on what strategy is. We're really clear on what traffic is. So now we can go into our first example. It's a simple one-wave example. And this is a classic Facebook ad to a lead generation landing page. So we're driving ads to a landing page for people to opt in. And so by breaking these down, we're going to do it in goals, content, and targeting here. And so what you're going to see throughout these are screenshots of real-world plans that we've actually used. And so here's one-way traffic example. You can see that the goal is to drive business stage views. Specifically, the objective that the ads are running for is traffic that's optimized for landing page views. And that's very important. You want to make sure you're optimized. In this case, when you're driving like raw orthodox traffic, you want to be optimizing for landing page views, because just because someone clicks on an ad, that does not mean they're going to stick around and wait for the page load. So you actually want to run ads for landing page views. And in this case, our goal was trying to hit 25 cents per landing page view. So anyway, that's the goal. That's the first part. We'll get to the content next, because the way that the Facebook platform works is you set up the goals at the campaign level, your targeting is at the ad set level, and then the ad itself is the content. So you can see that we've got so this may look like a jumbled mess here. So real quick, what we're looking at is the column on the left that says, Class B lookalike, all that jazz. Those are how we're saying what are we targeting. And then the white columns are how the actual tool is laid out. When you're setting ads up in Facebook, you have your custom audiences, and then you choose your interest targeting, and then you also choose any advanced combinations here. So the high-level strategy for this targeting is we wanted a lookalike of their existing customers in the U.S., we wanted to look like the existing customers in non-English speaking countries, and we also wanted to make a lookalike of the leads that they already had. So you can see that's what we've planned out here. And so we're choosing this custom audience, and then we're excluding all the other ones. You'll also notice we're excluding the leads, and that's important because the whole point of this campaign is for leads. We don't want to run ads to people once they've already done what we've asked them to do. So this was basically 3 ad sets that we see here, and actually, it was about 3 ad sets, and that was the targeting. So now when it comes to the content of it, the last piece that brings it all together, the 3 columns that you see here, the left one is just the angle or the tone. So for any copywriters out there, I see a couple on here, and you guys are probably going to smile at that. We choose what tone are we using for each individual ad. There's the actual language that we use, and then the actual headlines. So I'm not going to necessarily read all of them and go super deep into it, but you can see that the touchstone angle is very different than like the social inquiry angle, and then that's very different than the benefit angle, because the whole point is we're trying to drive traffic to this landing page so that they can opt in. And so we want to hit different angles. We also do the same thing, as you can see, different organizations or structures for the headline. It's saying the same thing, but just in slightly different ways. We actually had 5 angles entirely, so the last 2 for this wave, we did a pain one, so we're just kind of wrenching on the pain for them, and then we decided to use a logic angle at the end for those logical kind of folks. And then we even tried an ambiguous headline of "try this now," which is a control that we use sometimes just for the curiosity. Sometimes it will get the click, and if the targeting and messaging and the ad is right, it'll be effective. So because we're on Facebook, there is also visual media, the pictures or the videos. So you can see down there what we did is we pulled a couple of images. We took screenshots from the video they had on their site. As far as the buttons, those are the calls to action that we get from Facebook, so we chose to use those. There's the destination, and the description at the bottom, that only shows up on the desktop version, so it is something you have to consider, but it's not necessarily super important. So you can see that we've got 5 different angles, 5 different headlines, a couple of different visuals, and a couple of different buttons. That's a whole lot of ads. It really isn't. The reason why is because I'm going to recommend that whenever you're running traffic, and in all cases, you use this feature called dynamic creative. So when you're in the ad set, this is something that you go ahead and turn on, and then what that enables is in the actual ad itself, you can upload multiple images, multiple text, multiple headlines. So now, instead of having to do 5 times 5 times 3 times 3 amount of ads, because that's how many different combinations there are, you just load them into this one ad. Facebook figures out the best combination for you, and this is also another reason why we like to use different angles, because it's very clear in the data, like one angle's really hitting, one angle really isn't. And then of course you can just turn those off in the next iteration. So definitely use dynamic creative wherever possible. It's super helpful for getting a lot of different ads out really quickly. And here's the results for this. So I didn't frame it earlier, and I guess that was kind of intentional. Everything I'm teaching you here was actually run with real money behind it. So I'm not sitting here like you know, trying to be cool. Like, this is real money. I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and these are some great examples. So you can see there's the 3 classes. We only spent $1 a day. So we spent 18 bucks total. We got 43 landing page views at 42 cents each. So we missed our goal, and you can see that the click-through rate wasn't particularly amazing. However, it was very validating that our targeting, you know, our lookalikes, there's things there. And from here, I would break it down further. I would see maybe is there, you know, are males responding more than females? Is, you know, is there an age range kind of thing? Is it device specific? So I feel that with further tuning, we could very much get that 25-cent goal for that. So that is one wave of traffic. So again, we looked at the goals, content, and targeting, and then there's the end result of actually running it, and there's the data. So now we're going to get to our multi-wave traffic examples. And this is the fun stuff. This is what you've been waiting for this whole time. And for the lead generation remarketing, what we're actually doing is we're just bolting an extension onto what we just saw. So the first wave was straight traffic optimized for landing page views to that landing page, and hopefully people are opting in. We know, though, that in most cases, most people won't. So we want to go ahead and remarket to them. So that is the second wave of this. So this is how we create a multi-wave, a 2-wave example where we drive traffic to the page, and if they don't opt in, we drive them back. And we will collect leads that way. So let's go ahead and look at the goals, content, and targeting in this particular case. So our goals in this case specifically is to drive leads. So last time we were just trying to get as much traffic as possible to that page. Now we specifically want to get leads. And our goal was trying to get it down to $1 per lead. So those are the goals. As far as the targeting, it's very, very simple. We created a custom audience of people that viewed the business stages page. That's what the lead magnet was. We made an audience of that, and then we simply excluded people that were a lead, right? So that means they saw the page, they didn't opt in. That's a page abandon. That's who we're targeting, and that's basically remarketing. So the content for this, we use different angles because they're at different parts of the relationship. We used a fear of missing out angle. Hey, you didn't remember to grab this free resource, you're going to miss out. We used a quietly upscale angle, which is kind of, it's poking at their ego a little bit. That's a fun angle. And knowing that these people hit the page and they opted out, we kind of do want to poke them a little bit to either, you know, kind of do or get off the pot, opt in or don't. We use the dog whistle, which is just directly calling out. So if I was dog whistling this audience, I'd be like, hey, Keap partners of Infusionsoft, like just directly calling it out. And then of course the urgency angle, because again, they've already taken some action. Let's try and get them to complete it. We did the same thing with dynamic creative, so we uploaded all 4 of these angles, all 5 of the headlines. We actually used the same images. We didn't even change the images in this particular case. And we got rid of one of the buttons to make them more directly, I think we got rid of the learn more one. So now it's literally just sign up or download, so a lot more direct. So that is the second wave of traffic, and these are the results from that. So again, only $1 a day here. This is one of the first tests that we ran, and you can see we spent 30 bucks total. We drove 4 leads at 737. So definitely way over that $1 per. However, it validates that the remarketing works because these are more leads than they wouldn't have had. And because they also got leads off the first one. I don't know why I didn't include that in the screenshot. I guess because it was a traffic objective specifically, but we did get leads from wave 1, and then for the people that we didn't, we remarketed and got 4 more. So 737 a lead may be kind of high, but if you look at the context of they're selling, you know, a four-figure magnitude offer, meaning it's thousands of dollars or more, if you can reliably and predictably convert leads at a particular rate to that, you know, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 program, I'll pay 10 bucks. I'll pay less than 10 bucks a lead all day. So these are the actual results of what we did. And you can see this had a little better response rates because the audience was a lot smaller. The other thing too is that the impressions are particularly high. When it comes to remarketing, I've just personally noticed that you can get the frequency, you can get the frequency super high. If you look at that second one, there's 543 people reached that saw it 8,200 times. So that's a really high frequency. However, it did the job. It worked. And if these leads end up converting, cool, we'll blow out their frequency all day. But that's the results here for that one. And I'm actually doing pretty good on time. We might actually have time for Q&A. Let me just do a quick check-in. How's everybody doing here? Is this awesome? Is it way too much? Do you have more questions?
Well,
even just a thumbs up.
For me, so we're getting a lot of very helpful, scientific, awesome. I think this is just a new way of thinking at it. So it's taking a moment to get that, you know, to be able to say, okay, well, am I doing this multi-wave function? This is pretty cool.
Okay, cool. Now I saw there's a comment about implementation here. I'll be more than happy for the next example, since that is actually my own brand. I'll be more than happy to go into the actual ad manager and show you the implementation. What's cool is that these plans are literally modeled exactly after the tool. And when you look at the plan, it translates directly over to the tool here. And somebody was asking if there's a checklist. Not directly, but I am going to be giving you a little bonus at the end, so I spilled the beans a little bit, but you still don't know what it is. Okay, let's keep going. Keep having some fun here. As you can tell, I love this stuff. I'll nerd out on this all day. Okay, so this next multi-wave example was for a live event promotion. So the last example was for a B2B high-end product. The offer is a B2C low-dollar live event. So completely different species of animal here as far as the offer. So in this case, it was a 3-wave campaign. We ran a wave to get a bunch of video viewers that we could then run ads to for event responses, and then once people responded to the event, we drove them directly to Ticketfly. And I'll explain a little why it worked like this once we get to well, we don't have access directly into Ticketfly to put our pixel in there, so that's the only reason I didn't run ads specifically for purchases. So I had to get a little bit creative here. This Wave 1 is something that a lot of people are starting to push around these days. I know Frank Kern calls it IBB, intent-based branding. Basically, it's just video remarketing. You run a bunch of videos to people, and then you make an audience of people that have watched 25% of the video, or more than 10 seconds, or whatever works for you. So that was kind of the idea here. So let's go ahead and look at Wave 1. So the goals for Wave 1 is we want to build a video remarketing audience. That's the explicit point of this entire wave, and the goal is to try and get down to 2 cents per view, which I believe I think a 10-second view now on Facebook is the default. So that's the goal. We're just getting video views. So similar to what you saw in the previous example, we were doing a bunch of lookalikes here because these are people that don't know us from anybody. So we did lookalikes of the page likers, friends of the page likers, and then a lookalike of people that have been engaging with the page. You can actually make a custom audience of people that have engaged with your page, and then we made a lookalike off of that. And so on the left there, again, you see here's all the custom audiences that we're doing, making sure that we're not the main thing is we're not overlapping and bidding against each other. So if I'm running for a lookalike of page likers, but then I've also got that if somebody else also happens to be a friend of a page liker, I don't want to bid against myself and inflate my own ad costs. So that's why I'm intentionally sectioning off that this is one group, exclude everybody else. This is another group, exclude everybody else. And then you can see on the right in the connections, which again is in that section of the tool. We do some advanced connections here. We also did 2 other targetings for this. We were just doing general remarketing for the site traffic because we do have a website up and our pixels there, so we figured why not. And then it was a heavy metal concert, so we excluded all of our custom audiences, and then we said, listen, if they like heavy metal, concerts and festivals, and they're an engaged shopper, which means that they have clicked on a call to action on somebody else's ad within the past 7 days, I want to go ahead and run this ad to them, try and get this video here. So one thing I want to point out is you can see that there's the Class A, where's my mouse here? We have a Class A Wave 1, right? So this is that audience I was talking about of people that have watched, I think for me it was like watch more than 10 seconds of the video. If they've watched more than 10 seconds of the video, we want that to stop. And then the next phase starts. So that's what that is. And you'll see what this shows up in the second wave because that is one of the actual targets, the people that have been watching. So as far as the content here, we chose 4 different angles here. We actually had an original post where we actually did post a video and say, here's how things started off. So we modified that a little bit, and then we came up with an info angle, a controversy angle, and a status elevation angle. Because again, we're just trying to get people to watch the video. So this should hopefully get them pulled in. And as far as the visuals, there wasn't any. There was just the video, the promo cut that we did from Tucson. And I'll show you the results of all of this at the end, so you can see all three waves at once and how they flowed into one another. So anyway, that's the goals content targeting for wave 1. We wanted to get video views to a bunch of lookalikes, and then also, and the content was just this one video with a couple of different angles wrapped around it. Okay. So the next wave is now going for event responses. As I mentioned, Facebook had a bunch of different objectives. So you can run ads specifically to get people to respond to your events. And so that's exactly what we did here. So the goal for Wave 2 is to get event responses from the video viewers as well as some other audiences too. We were only targeting people within like 25 miles of the venue. So it was a very small audience to begin with. So if we had only relied on video viewers, we'd be missing out a whole opportunity here. And we wanted to try and get it down to 50 cents per event response. So that's the goals here. As far as the targeting, so the very first one you can see is that IBB Wave 1. So this is everybody that had watched more than 10 seconds of the Wave 1 video. And exclude connected to the Phoenix, that just means that they haven't responded to the event. So he said they do not like the event. And then we did some other audiences. Obviously we did people that like our page because we're always building our audience. We did people that have engaged with our page. That doesn't necessarily mean that they like us. And so you'll notice on that we exclude the video wave as well as people that like our page. So those people do exist. And then you can also make custom audiences of previous event responders. So if you run a lot of events like we do as a music promotion company, we can say build an audience of people that responded to this event. And so that's exactly what we did. So these were the three main targets. We also did a couple of other deeper classes. So this is what I call a venue carpet bomb. So what you're seeing here is the address of all the major live music venues in Phoenix. And if anybody has recently been within 1 mile of that location and they like heavy metal, we wanted them to see this. And that ad set actually worked pretty well. We also did a Zia carpet bomb. Zia is a record store that has a bunch of locations around town. And so same thing, if you've been within 1 mile of Zia and you like heavy metal, you're going to go ahead and see these ads. And then we did it by genre, which is something we traditionally do. So people that like thrash metal, people that like death metal, people that like black metal. This is a very traditional targeting that we do when we're doing heavy metal shows because those are different subgenres of heavy metal. And so the content here, now the ID that you see on the left, don't get too hung up on that. I wanted to use the exact same ad across all different ad sets, so the social proof stayed. So if somebody liked it on one particular ad set, that like would also show up on all other instances of that ad. So helping out with the social proof here. So our exclusive control, and this was the best performing ad from last year, so that's why it's our control. We used, again, the upscale quiet one, and then we did an info angle purely, which is explaining what we're about, here's the band, so forth and so on. And as far as the visuals, we literally just made a slideshow. Facebook has some creative generation tools where you can literally just upload some images, put some music behind it, and it'll generate a video asset for you. So that's all that we did. I just took pictures of the bands and then the festival logo at the end, and then the music I ripped off of YouTube from the headlining band, or rather the most popular band and their most popular song. So that's wave 2. And again, we're going to look at all the results at the very end here, but so far we were running ads to get video views. Anybody that watched more than 10 seconds of that, they were getting ads for event responses, as well as our page likers and people that like specific genres. And now the last one is Ticketfly. So as I mentioned, we didn't actually have the ability to put the pixel for Facebook on Ticketfly, so we couldn't run purchase ads. So we figured, you know what, the best thing that we can do is anybody that's actually responded to the event on Facebook, let's drive them to the Ticketfly link directly. So that's exactly what we did. So here's actually the goals and the targeting, because it was really simple. We were just driving clicks from event responders. We wanted to get it down to a quarter a click, and the only targeting is people that specifically responded to the event. So you can see on the far right, we're just including people that are connected to the event. That means that they've responded in some particular way. As far as the content, same thing. We used a couple of different angles. We reused the info angle because people may just not have seen that angle before, and they might not know, and then the bands may tip them over the edge to get a ticket. And we were just driving them to the Ticketfly link, and that was basically it. And the visual was just the poster for the particular show. So that's the 3 waves, and this is what actually happened here. So you can see I spent about $300 over the course of first part of January, basically. And we built a list of 1,900 video viewers that we could market to. And they were included in Wave 2, where we got 79 event responses at $1.95 per. So we didn't hit that $1, but I know that some of the specific ad sets did. That's just kind of the roll-up. And that's even a decent reach, too. You can see that overall it's still about a 1% reach, which for event responses, that's kind of a baseline that I've identified. And then the bottom wave, we drove a lot of clicks out of 500 people. And we didn't hit our 25-cent goal, but we got really close to it. And I mean, you can see that for $300 as a local music promoter, I reached 20,000 people in the course of a month. And it's, in retrospect, it's no wonder why this particular festival did really well. It's a charity festival, by the way. So we use it to generate music equipment donations and repairs for local schools. So this show was by far our most successful one, even after paying all the overhead and whatever the bartenders and security and all that jazz. We still had close to $3,000 for the charity, and this is the only marketing money we spend. We didn't spend any money on flyers, so that's about a 10x ROI, and it's even more than that because, again, that's not even factoring in that we paid the bartenders and security and all that jazz. So I'm super happy with that investment of $300, and my question is, how many $300 you got? I'm actually doing this with another city right now because this is a whole tour, and this was just Phoenix. That was the only one that was done. So super recent, by the way. You can see that this is within the past month. So this isn't like super old data like you see sometimes. Okay. So this is the cool one. This is the big fancy one. This is a traditional e-commerce remarketing funnel because Facebook has pixel events, and so there's the page view, and then add to cart, and then initialize checkout, and then purchase. So that's exactly what we did. We did a 4-wave traffic strategy that takes any site visitor to the, well, let me give you context here. This is for somebody selling the silicone wristbands, the custom wristbands. So that's what they are. So the first wave was taking anybody that was on their site and driving them to the design page where someone would actually design their silicone wristband. The second wave is taking people from that page, getting them to add it to the cart. The third wave is taking people that have added to the cart and getting them to actually start checking out. And then, of course, the last wave is to have them complete checking out, right? So that's why I say it's a traditional e-commerce remarketing funnel, because I don't care what you're selling. That, at least waves 2, 3, and 4 are pretty much always going to be the same. And if you don't have a design page, you would just take people to a shop page. And that's, and I think that's the example that you'll be getting. Okay, so let's look at these 4 waves, and we're going to do it the same thing where we do the goals, content, and targeting for all of them, and then we're going to look at the end results and see what ROI this got us. Okay, so this one is literally just traffic optimized for landing page views, so similar to that first example. So anybody that's been to the site, we want to take them to the designer page. We're trying to do this at $1 per view. And in this case, our targeting was pretty straightforward. We made a custom audience of all website visitors. We had a custom audience of anyone that's made a recent order, and then a custom audience of people that have viewed the design page. And all we said is, listen, if you've been to the site within the past 30 days and you have not seen the design page, we want you to see these ads. Because if you've been to the design page, well, now you're on wave 2. So that's the targeting. And then for the content here, I think we chose about 5 angles again. So we use the dog whistle angle. Hey, if you need custom silicone wristbands, that's a dog whistle. If you are, your ears are going to perk up. We used the benefit angle and really just kind of nailed out a whole bunch of benefits. It's really just a bunch of bullet points. The new angle and then the free angle. And in this case, we could say our new designer makes it easier than ever because we know for a fact these people have not seen that page, so it's new to them. As far as the visuals, we just grabbed a couple of samples from their websites. It's the Shop Now button, and it was taking them to the Order Now page, which that's the design page. And that was the content for Wave 1. So driving traffic to the designer page, targeting people that have been to the site but not been to it, and then using these couple of different angles. So that's Wave 1. So now wave 2 is taking people from that design page and getting them to actually add it to their cart. So that was the goal here. Overall, by the way, the budget was $20 a day for the whole thing. So I didn't call that out. So back on here, you can say wave 1 was $10 a day. Wave 2 is $5 a day, and then waves 3 and 4 are $3 and $2. So it's $20 a day max on Facebook for this, and the ROI is pretty exciting. So in this case, we're remarketing to page viewers and trying to get them to continue checking out. So this was ads running for conversions, specifically looking for an add to cart event, and we wanted to try and get this at $7.50 per add to cart. As far as our targeting, it's very similar to the other one. They have seen the designer page, but they're not a recent order and they're not an add to cart. So that means that's as far as they got, and that's where they fell out. As far as the content, I don't remember exactly why we came to this conclusion, but we decided to use the commitment and consistency angle entirely in this wave. Because if you've read Cialdini's book Influence, it's a good way to persuade people by reminding them of what they've done and getting them to act consistently with what they've done and to their commitment. So by starting to make a customer span design, we wanted to leverage that. So hey, it still needs to be finished. Keep going. You started it, but you need to finish it. And so you can see that that's talking to people specifically in Wave 2, and the headlines are doing the same thing. And for the images, we just did a couple of different samples of the wristbands. And it's pointing to the same page in this case because they didn't actually make it to add to cart. So can we get these slides? I think the answer is yeah. I'll happily share that. It's a Google slide presentation, so we can just give you the public link. And you are going to get, this is what you're going to get at the end. I'm actually going to give you a Google Doc that you can copy that is this exact ad plan that you're seeing. It's just been annotated to provide a little more guidance, so you can actually use this on your own business and your clients too. So there you go. Ruined the surprise. I got excited. And we're close to the end anyway, so thanks for sticking around. I know it's probably like drinking from a fire hose. And cool, we will have some time to show the actual implementation because I know someone is asking about that. So let's get through the rest of these and go from there. So wave 3, adding to cart to initiate checkout. So they designed their wristband, they said add to cart, and then whatever happened, they fell out. So the goal is conversions, but specifically now we're looking for initiate checkouts, and we are trying to get this at $5 per initiate checkout. And you can see $3 a day on here. For our targeting, it's really similar to the last one, only show it to people that recently added to cart, but exclude people that are in order or that initiated checkout, because that means we know for a fact they fill out. And as far as our content here, we chose to use 2 fear missing out angles as well as a social proof angle, because our thought was if people have added to the cart but they haven't initiated checkout, maybe they don't trust us enough. So that's where we pulled the social proof from. And then the fear missing out is, hey, fear missing out. And so the headline is also speaking to that as well, pushing them for the next step. So it even says review your design and check out now. Like we're telling them get this going. And then review your order and guaranteed arrival date. That doesn't happen until they initialize checkout. So we're really persuading them to finish checking out. And then as far as the media, we chose a couple of different example bands. There was a Lamborghini one, so I figured for social proof that'll be really helpful. And then some Army ones just for the kind of the nationalist flair. And maybe that was entirely the wrong word, but the national pride, I don't know. And then this is driving people to the actual cart page where they can initiate checkout. Oh, and also notice also the description changed here too. So we really tried to make this content as aligned as possible with exactly where somebody's at in the process. So at this point, people haven't decided on like necessarily everything to finalize it. So that's what we've gone for in this particular description. And so that's wave 3, and then the deepest wave in the entire group is people that have initiated checkout but they didn't purchase. So in this case, conversions, but now we're specifically looking for that purchase event. So we've done this enough we just want that purchase, trying to get it down to $250 a purchase. And in this case, the only qualification is they initiated checkout and they're not a recent order. That's it. So from here, the angles that we used another social proof angle, because again, if people have initiated checkout but they haven't finished, again, they might not trust us. We did decide to choose a vague angle just to try and tease that click, and they know what's going on. They've got their wristbands in the cart, and they've even, it's in their cart. So hey, it's still waiting for you. And then another benefit that we thought of was very at the bottom of the funnel. There's many different payment options. So we're like, cool, let's spin that as a benefit to why people should finish it. And the benefit actually is not that you can complete it with a credit card, PayPal. That's a feature. The benefit is that your delivery date stays the same. And then the headlines are direct commands. Complete your order, finish your order, buy your wristbands now. Because again, they're at the bottom of the funnel. It's due to or get off the pot time. And then as far as the content, this is where we started pulling some trust seals in. We had a really nice customer service image from the homepage. And then you know how you see the typical our clients on a lot of websites. It's that social proof. We also use that. They also have a price match guarantee, so this is the first time we actually mention it in the description. We didn't actually use it as an angle because we didn't want to, and that's a little bit of extra metadata for the person in that particular moment. So that is that, and are y'all ready to see the results? Yeah, I know we are. Okay, so this has been running since we turned this on in, I don't know, I think September. And then it ran for a few months, and then they let it chill over the holidays, and then they turned it on again recently. And you can see they've got this running all the way through April. So you can see this has been doing the job. We've remarketed 221 people back to the designer page. We've got 77 people to add to the cart that wouldn't have otherwise. We got 20 people to initiate checkout that wouldn't have otherwise. We don't have any purchases. That's okay, though, because there's only 22 people in that particular cart. Does that mean people weren't purchasing? Absolutely not. So you can see they spent $1,388 on ads so far with just this remarketing. Here's the actual results. You can see that we've driven 5 orders. Wave 1 drove 5 orders. They skipped the rest of them. Wave 2 drove 16. Wave 3 drove 13. And again, the initiate checkout to purchase had such a small audience, it only drove 1 landing page view, so I don't feel awful that we didn't get a purchase out of it. It's just such a small audience. But you can see, with the exception of Wave 1, we're getting really exciting return on ad spend. You can see Wave 3, if you just factor that in, that's a 25% return on ad spend. That basically means that for every dollar we spend on advertising in Wave 3, they made $25 back in real actual orders for an average ROI of 4.16. And the client had an initial requirement, I think, of a 3x ROI. So we absolutely hit this. And again, real world stuff. I'm not going to go ahead and just spit theory at you. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and these are all real-world examples. And this is super exciting. And in fact, this kind of saved their Facebook ad efforts because their other things weren't really panning out that we were trying, but this nailed it. And this is super exciting. Okay, so you probably want that. So you can go ahead and get your own ad plan template right now. I've taken that ad plan, I've made a copy of it, and I've modified it to make it a little easier for you to use for yourself. I did leave in the original ad language and headline language, so you have those as examples to build off of. But all you got to do is go to bit.ly, and it's all uppercase KDB0219 because it's February of 2019. And Chase just put the link in the chat, and that's super exciting here. So I know we had some questions here. I do want to show implementation really quick because that is really where the magic is. So let me do that, and then maybe, I guess, Shay, if you want to maybe start calling through the Q&A questions, we'll get to these, and I should be able to stay until those questions are answered. So let's go ahead and show you what we're doing here. So implementation, again, I'm going to show you mine for my festival. So you can see we're doing the show in Kingman, and I'm doing the exact same thing here. We don't have a ticket fly link. There's not actual tickets to sell, so there's no Wave 3 in this case. But you can see that I've built it. Now, this is Kingman, Arizona. There's not a big population in there. And we've already built an audience of close to 500 people of this. And then we've already got 27 event responses for this. And for context, it's $20 to get in to this event. So if we're getting responses for $4 and even 25% of those responses actually turn into a paying ticket, the ROI is still there. But anyway, let's look at Phoenix. So wave 1, no, video views, right? So we can go ahead and take a peek at how this is actually set up, and what I'll do is let me, why you set me out? I was literally like in the presentation. I'll pull up the plan and I'll show you the plan and then the actual real-world version of it. So thanks for being patient while Google decided to log me out literally in the middle of doing a live presentation on its platform. So thanks for being patient, y'all. This is the fun of doing live stuff. You never know what's going to happen. And I even plugged my computer directly into the modem to make sure that there was a good connection. So, okay. Where are we? Live event promotion here. Okay. So let's just do this one, the heavy metal concert goers, right? So we want to go ahead and, let's see if I can zoom in on this a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So for the heavy metal concert goers, we can see that we wanted to basically say exclude all these other custom audiences. And so in the actual ad set, that's how it works. So you set your budgets and your schedules, and then here's the audiences. Here's the 4 custom audiences that we're excluding. The video viewers, any of the lookalikes, and any of the site traffic. And that's exactly what we have here. So then when you keep moving down in the actual tool, we set the location, people that live within 25 miles of the actual venue, and we set it 21 and up because it's a bar, we want people to drink. So then we said the detailed targeting, they must like heavy metal and concerts or festivals and be an engaged shopper. And that's exactly what we had out here. And then we also wanted to make sure that we exclude, oh god, my mouse is flipping out. We're going to exclude friends of page likers because they're being targeted in another one, and also make sure we exclude people connected to the actual event. So down here under the advanced combinations, this is where we have. We're saying excluding people connected to this. I misspoke when I made this plan because you actually can't exclude friends of page likers. You can only include them. So we just said exclude anybody connected to anything. So that's the real-world implementation. Looking at another ad set, the lookalike, is basically the same thing. So we're doing the lookalike, exclude any of the other 4 custom audiences. They live by the venue, and they're not connected to any of the other things because they're a lookalike. So that was wave 1. And then as far as implementation here, each of these ads is using the same video, but different headline language. And you can see we're using an existing post. So all of these ads are using this one ad post. So all of this social proof, no matter what ad, no matter what targeting somebody's in, they're still going to see that exact same social proof. So that's kind of a little hack. So the way that you would do that is you would publish one instance of this, go into the page posts, and then you can actually see the ad posts themselves. And specifically, this is where you're going to grab the ad ID. So if you recall, when we were doing the content, I had the ad IDs on them. That was to make myself easier. That was to make it easier for me to actually build the campaign. So, but the way that came from is you go to the page post section, you talk a long time to give Facebook time to load, and then there's the actual ad ID. And then you would just go and say, use an existing post. Oh god. Use an existing post and enter the post ID right there. And so that way, even though I had like 5 different targets, it was actually only 4 ad assets among all of them. So again, social proof, super exciting. For the next one, wave 2. So this is where we had, but I might have mixed them up. So this is where we had stuff like, let me show you the venue carpet bomb, right? So here's all here's all the locations. So, and you can see this actually worked really well. We got 10 responses at $2.74 per. Like, I'm not complaining about that. Again, it's a $20 ticket. Okay, so as far as the venue carpet bomb, so again, the plan is we exclude people that responded to previous events, page engagers, the wave of video viewers, and then we said, great, if you've recently been into this location, so not living, not everybody, but recently within 1 mile of all of these, that's who sees the ads. If you didn't know, you can add locations in bulk. So you can actually copy and paste stuff in here and save yourself a whole bunch of time. The other thing that you can do is on the next page, once you've pasted them in here, you can actually save these locations to be used for future things. So if I ever want to do a carpet bomb at Tucson, I've already got that. It's there. And then the target is heavy metal, because there's venue-based, and then excluding people that have responded to the event, because if you remember, the whole point of Wave 2 is to get people to respond to the event. And so that's the venue carpet bombs. For example, like if people like death metal, it's literally the same thing. So exclude event responders, exclude the Wave 1 video viewers, people that live within the venue, and they like death metal and they're an engaged shopper. That was it. That's the only required criteria. And of course, they haven't responded to the event. Again, it's like, it would be like running like ads to people that already like your page, like it's done. So you want to make sure you exclude those. And it just goes to that with the same ones. Here's that IBB group. So just the people that watched more than 10 seconds that first wave, here's their ad set to push them to go ahead and respond to the event. And you can see the only targeting criteria is they've not responded to the event, and they're in this custom audience of people that we were showing videos to. And we know for a fact they live in this location because that's the exact same location that the Wave 1 ads were going to. And then as far as the ads themselves, you can see that we just have our language here, and it's the same video across all of them. And you can see it's just pictures of the different bands and the band members, and then the Dead of Winterfest logo at the very end of it. So that's Wave 2, and then Wave 3 is strictly driving people to Ticketfly. So there's only one ad set in here. And the only requirement to be in this ad set is the same location, and you have responded to any of our other events that we've ran. So I ran a whole bunch of events, and so yeah, this is people who have responded to previous events here, and then we're just driving them to Ticketfly. And that was that. So there's the language here, and then the thing to that. So I guess let's start Q&A and stuff.
Yeah, it looks like there's quite a few questions here.
Awesome. I'll hang out as long as I can. So
Glad to have you.
I'll do my best. Yeah.
Ron Wilder had asked a question earlier about the cost of the different waves. So his question was,
okay.
So Wave 3 costs also include Wave 2 and Wave 1. Everyone who goes into Wave 3 would have gone through Wave 1 and 2. Is that correct?
Maybe. So here, let me zoom back to 100%, and I'll just fit it. So for Wave 3, so the people in Wave 3, so the $92 they've spent so far on Wave 3. So is the question like, does that include also Wave 1 and Wave 2 costs?
Yes.
Okay, so not necessarily. So it's entirely possible someone goes to the website, gets the whole thing, and then they add to cart, and then like the doorbell rings and they forget. So, and it does sound a lot better, by the way, thank you. So not necessarily. The most accurate I can say is that for Wave 3, we've spent $92 and it's driven us 20 initiate checkouts. Is it possible that some of those 20 initiate checkouts were in the previous waves? It's totally possible. I'm not sure how you would even check that. That's really interesting. That's a great question. But does that answer the inquiry though, Ron?
We'll let him reply to that. Now, there's a couple others as well. The Lisa Tool says, can you do a deeper dive on finding the audience on Facebook when you are convinced your target does not hang out on Facebook?
Sure. Absolutely. So there's a really, really powerful tool here, and this could probably be a business booster in itself. Maybe try and get Blitz out here for that or something like that. But there's this Audience Insights tool. And this basically lets you look at the corpus of data that Facebook is sitting on. So for example, loading. So we were going to do everybody on Facebook here, let's say in the US. So for example, what do we want to do? I'll do the COO thing that we were doing before. So as far as advanced work job titles, so if you can't do the job title specifically, you can look at, what was I just looking at? I mean, this is where you really kind of get creative and think of stuff. So for example, who's like, who's the influential COO? I don't even know. Who is an influential COO? I'm not sure. Let's say somebody like, just to do some hand waving here. Let's say people that are interested in like, pretty sure like Sheryl Sandberg would have her own page, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So, out of everybody in the United States that's interested in Sheryl Sandberg, here's what we know about them. So we know that for this specific audience, 76% of them are women compared to 54% across all Facebook. You'll also notice that most of these women the age range that they're more likely to be in is 35 to 44. So you can see there's the blue graph bar and then the gray one behind it. So that's saying that in general, 18.7% of all Facebook users, are this. But for people that like Sheryl Sandberg, it's actually 29% of the audience. So that would be like a sweet spot. So I would probably run ads. That's one thing you can do is you can start bracketing it by age. You can also look at relationship status. You can see that most people that like Sheryl Sandberg most likely are going to be married. So you can actually do two different audiences of that. You could run an audience of people that are married and use that angle, and then run to people that aren't necessarily married and talk to their problems. Hey, you're not married yet. You're working so hard. Blah, 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 blah. Looking at the education level, most of these people are in grad school too. And you can also tell what job titles that they're in. So most likely, people that like Sheryl Sandberg are likely to be in physical, IT, arts, entertainment, right? And again, it's 6% of the Facebook users in general, but for this audience, specifically 13%. So that's not it though. So this is just demographics. And demographics are really only one tiny part of targeting. You actually have two other layers underneath it. You've got your psychographics, then your behavioristics underneath it. So if you go to page likes, if there's enough of an audience here, you can actually see the top categories for these people. So people that like Sheryl Sandberg, the top community organization is Lean In, which is her book. So of course that's going to make sense. You can see though that these people probably have a Democratic leaning. Because I know Pelosi's Democrat, and I think Kamala Harris is too. And that's interesting. Not just Democrats, but female Democrats. Which, knowing who Sheryl Sandberg is, that makes sense. You can look and see all the different kind of public figures and things like that. The other thing that's cool is you can look at the affinity here. So you can basically, oh wow, this just validated what I was saying. I didn't even know that. Look at that. That's cool. So basically, people that like Sheryl Sandberg are 2,873 times more likely to like Sheryl Sandberg than the average person. So, I mean, that makes sense, right? But look at this, Democratic Attorney Generals Association. So this validates. If I was doing target audience research for Sheryl Sandberg people, I would say these women are Democratic. And this proves it. these people are 614 times more likely to like the Democratic Attorney General Association than the average user. So like that's huge. And you can build all sorts of stuff from that. The other thing you can do is you can also look at things like locations and countries, depending on if you're like international. You can see that, I mean, there's a huge population of these people in San Francisco, which of course makes sense because, you know, that's where Facebook and all that is. And then frequency of activities, you can see the behavioristics. So do they like a lot of pages? Will they like a lot of posts? These particular people will click on a lot of ads. So they're very clicky. So that means that, just be aware of that. Just because you're getting clicks doesn't mean it's actually doing the job. And then you can even see how people are using. So again, most of these people are desktop and mobile. A big majority of these people are actually on iOS. Not so much on Android, but that's really cool. And you can do all sorts of other stuff here. So for example, people connected you. So if you have a big enough audience, you can also do this on your own page. So I'm going to do, I'm going to do Dennis because I'm pretty sure he has enough. Yeah, because you need more than like I think 1,000 people to do it. So, but there you go. So people that like Dennis Yu, this is the demographics of them right here. So it's pretty much all younger men. Actually, no, it's pretty much all young to middle-aged men. Most people with some college education. Either they're married or they're single. It's not likely for them to be in a relationship or engaged. And a lot of these people are in IT and computers and arts and entertainment, which, knowing Dennis, that makes sense. You know, looking at the page likes, we can see so Billie Jean is marketing and Gary Vaynerchuk. Cool. You want to go ahead and, if I was building Dennis's audience, I'd run ads to people that like Billie Jean, and then I'd run a different ad set of people that like Gary Vaynerchuk, because that tells us right here. So all sorts of really cool stuff. Again, this could be an entire presentation in its own. So,
Paul, this is amazing. We're getting a lot of good feedback on this, and that was all free, right? All the insights, audience.
Oh, yeah. It just comes with it.
Yeah,
that's all there.
Totally awesome. And so to answer the question, yes, we have a phenomenal resource here where if you don't believe your people are here, well, why don't you go look and do the research and find out? So this is awesome. We had another question from Ron Wilder. How much real time did it take to create these Facebook campaigns?
Great question. So the way that we do things here is we first research, and then we plan, and then we build. So I'll go back to this, live event promotion, right? So this planning, let me actually just pull up the full planning doc. There's no reason why. There's no reason why I can't show you. But so the whole point is that the plan probably took, because the idea is that it like literally is a true blueprint where like everything that's in there is actually inside Facebook. So when I said, hey, target this, I've actually gone in and validated that I can target that in ads. So here, I'm going to pull up that ad plan real quick. But thanks for being patient. Drive is having a day.
Yeah,
I'm actually really glad I put that at the end of the modem.
You plan.
You plan first, and then once the planning is done, then you actually go in and build it. So I'll probably be able to tell you how long it took me to build this plan by looking at the revision history. So, and this is what we do with clients, by the way. When they want us to run ads, we do this first. We do not do anything else until this is approved, because this is the language, this is the copy, this is what the client approves, and then we just load it into Facebook. We don't do any of this, load it into Facebook, and then walk the client through Facebook, because they don't understand the tool anyway in the first place. And that's not our job. As a marketing agency, is to do their marketing. It's not to teach them how to use Facebook. But anyway, so here's the plan. And I just kind of did it one wave at a time, and man, Google Docs in general has just been way slow. And even like when you're linking to assets here, this is the actual file in Google Drive for that video. So when I'm building it in Facebook, I literally just download it, upload it, boom, it's there. So again, the planning is really important. Again, I did this actual research so that way when I got into the ad plan, I could literally copy and paste all of those in. I made sure that if I did not have an audience created, I like highlighted it or left a comment and said you need to make this audience first. That would be something I'd very much recommend, especially if you're using custom audiences. always build the audience first, so that way when you go into the actual ads manager, you can just pull it. So this plan, so how long did this take? Let's see. Good old googly. So, it looks like it probably took maybe about 2-3 hours to do all of this.
Gotcha.
Yes, about 2-3 hours to make the plan, because you can see on January 9th, you know, from about 7, you know, about an hour-ish, I did it, and then the next day I added in the ticket fly link, so that's good to know. And then as far as building it out, because I had all the assets already, I had the poster, I had the slideshow created, I had the video asset already, I don't know, maybe an hour to go build it and launch it.
3 to 5 hours, depending on research and planning.
Yeah, and again, this tool is built to exactly mimic how Facebook works. So if you actually know what you're doing, you can burn through this real quick. And then another thing that I like to do is making sure that we're using, there's a quick duplicate function. So once you've actually set up an ad set with some targeting, you can just make a duplicate of it and then just slightly adjust what it is. So that's what I did for the Wave 2. So for like the Thrash Death, you know, black metal, I made Thrash, published it, and then just made a duplicate. Everything was the same. I just changed the interest, duplicate, changed this one interest. So usually getting the very first set of the first ad set with real ads in it probably takes the most time, because then from there you shouldn't be doing it all from scratch. You should try to be like duplicating and copying things to make your life a little easier. So yeah, that's so again, for any kind of ad plan, maybe expect 1 to maybe 3 hours in research, and then if you've actually made a legit actual blueprint like this, it should only take maybe about an hour or so to get launched.
Awesome. And that link that you provided earlier, that was to the blueprint?
Yeah, the link to the blueprint. Yeah, it is. So what I've actually done, I'll show it to you. I was doing it this morning. Man, where am I at? Here it is. I love Chrome history, by the way. Control-H pulls up your history. It's fantastic. So this is going to be the asset that you're going to get a shared link to. Obviously, if you want to use it, you're going to need to make a copy, make a copy on desktop or on mobile. You hit the ellipses, share and export, make a copy. And it's got the same structure, you know, Wave 1. I've included the general custom audiences here, and I love seeing all these anonymous animals here. That's cool. I included some annotations on the angles just to kind of talk people through if they aren't a copywriter, and I left the original language in here just, again, so you have something to use. But the structure's here. I kind of did some hand waving. Here's a link to the visual, your website /shop. And then Wave 2, hey, how much per day per ad set? How much estimated budget? So this should help you now that you understand how this tool works. And oh, by the way, it's all just goals, content, and targeting. Goals, targeting, and then content. That's it. This is just a tool based off what Dennis Yu teaches, and then merged with how Facebook as a tool actually works. So this is what you'll have access to. So all you got to do is bit.ly/KBB0219, and you can go ahead and download this guy, and that's fantastic. So what other questions do we have? I don't have anything else scheduled through lunch, man, so I'll stay here and answer questions all day.
Well, and we appreciate that. But I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up with one last question, and then we're going to go ahead and end the call for today. We have, what would your per hour cost be for a client?
Is this from the context of, as an agency, what would I charge a client to do this?
Yes.
I think that's the question. Okay. So that's a great question. Because we actually don't sell hours, we sell outcomes. And so running traffic is just something that has to happen for an initiative, you know, or for an outcome. So if I were to do this for somebody, man, I'd probably charge them like $200 for the ad plan itself. So just to generate this document, just a flat $200, and I would put some constraints on it. Listen, you can't have more than, you know, 4 waves. We can't do more than like 5 targetings per ad set. We're not going to do more than 5 angles per thing. And you got to put some constraints on it. But I'd say a flat 200 for this actual plan, because this is a real thing. If you handed this to someone who knows how to use Facebook, they will be able to execute. So there's value in that in itself. So I'd probably just charge a flat 200, and then as far as building it in hourly rate, I don't know, assuming they have all the assets, maybe, I don't know, $60 an hour to get all the stuff out the door and launched, not including whatever they're going to pay for their budgets. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Paul, thank you so much for meeting with us today. Thank you for all the information you provided. It's a lot, but it's amazing. I learned that I need to start excluding the people I'm bringing in as leads, so I'm not bidding against myself and wasting a ton of money that way. I mean, some great content today. Thank you very much.
Well, you're super welcome. And what I'm going to do is, because someone was asking for it, I'm just going to give you the public link to view this presentation in the chat, wherever that went to. I don't know where my WebEx thing went. Maybe that's something y'all gotta do. Maybe as a presenter, I'm pretty ignorant to how exactly WebEx works. Oh, I'm sharing my screen. There it is. Okay, chat. And then this is the links to the slides. And then again, you can get, I see a couple people have opted in to get well, not this one, but the other template. And that's it. And if anybody has any questions or whatnot, find me on Facebook or reply to the email, and we'll help you out. And go do multi-wave traffic. Go charge more now, because you can do more advanced traffic than just, I'm running ads.
Definitely. All right, Paul, thanks again. I appreciate you joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Paul Sokol. Great asset to the community. He's been with us a long time, and he's very, very helpful. So thank you for joining us today. We can't wait to have you on a future Business Booster. Again, next week there will not be a Business Booster, as Matt Vosberg has some awesome, amazing things that he will announce at a future date. Thanks for joining us today, and have a wonderful day.
Bye, everybody.